All right, folks. So the topic for today is how to take a look at 2 points on a linear relation and figure out what the rate of change is, even if the 2 points don't have consecutive x values. So in other words, it's not like 2 and 3 are the x values. We have a jump in between them. In this case, from 2 to 4, and we'll look at some with bigger jumps in a moment. We may also get a visit from one of the cats, so don't be surprised if you see a little cute black face peeking into the frame here. So I've set it up here so that you can see we have 2 as our x value, the y value is 6. For 3 we don't know the y value, and for 4 we know that it's 12. And so I'd ask you to take a moment, you can pause the video if you'd like, and see if you can figure out what the missing y value is here for 3. Alright, so hopefully you paused the video, you had a chance to think it through, and you figured out that the missing value is 9. Now how do we get 9? Well, we look at the fact that it went from 6 up to 12, so that's a jump of plus 6, but it did that in 2 different figures. So like x value went from 2 to 3 to 4, so it jumped 2 from 2 to 4. So when we think back to our objects and figures, this is like saying, well, it went up 6 objects in 2 figures of increase. So we want to know for one figure, how much did it go up? So what was the rate of change? Well, if it's 6 for 2 figures, then 6 over 2. In lowest terms, that's 3 over 1, or just 3 as our rate of change. And so here we can see, oh, we get a rate of change of 3. Now I'd like you to look at this second one. Here we haven't skipped a single x value, we've actually skipped 2. So we've gone 12, 13, 14, we don't know the y values, and then 15, we know the y value, and it's 27. So 12 y value is 45, 15 the y value is 27. Again, take a moment, pause the video, and see if you can figure out what the rate of change is for this relation. Alright, so hopefully you've had a chance to try that out. So here we can see that from 45 to 27, if you do the subtraction, you can find out that it's gone down by 18. And to get negative 18, you can just do 27 minus 45 on a calculator. Here, from 12 to 15, well, that was going up by 3. And so overall, our rate of change, it went down 18 in positive 3 steps. So each step, put that into lowest terms, it's going to be negative 6 over 1. Or, since it's a whole number, we can just write negative 6. And a little side note here, please, whenever you're using rate of change, leave it as a fraction unless it's a whole number. So here it's a whole number, we'll use the whole number, but if it's a fraction that's not a whole number, please leave it as a fraction. Don't change it to a decimal. A lot of people changed it to a decimal in the review, and because you often have to round when you make a decimal, it puts your answer off by a little bit for the final answer, and we want to avoid that. We want exact answers. So please leave it as a fraction, and that way you can avoid that issue. Alright, so here, now that we know that it's down by 6, we can do 45 minus 6, that's 39. 39 minus 6, that's 33. 33 minus 6, that's 27. And so we can see that we do indeed have the correct rate of change at negative 6. Alright, here's our last one. So for this one, I haven't written any of the intermediate points, right? I just wrote the x value of 72, y value with it is 143, and then jumped straight to saying, okay, the next x value we know is 81, and it has a y value of 170. So how do we figure it out? Again, pause the video, see if you can figure it out on your own, and come back when you're ready. Okay, so we can check it out here. From 143 up to 170, how much did it go up by? Well, we can just do the subtraction. 170 minus 143 is 27, so it went up 27. And then 81 minus 72 is 9, so here it took 9 steps to go up 27. As usual, we'll do the division. Up 27 in 9 steps means that each step was up by 3. So we can just put that into lowest terms, 3 over 1, or the whole number of 3. And we can check that if we want. Here it's a little bit longer to do it, but we could say, okay, for 73 it would be 146. For 74 it would be 149. For 75 it would be 152. For 76 it would be 155. For 77 it would be 158. For 78 it would be 161. For 79 it would be 164. For 80 it will be 167. And for 81 it will be 170. So we can see there that we did it and we got an answer that matches our data here. So that's a quick summary on how to find the rate of change. Now I want to look just briefly for also how do we find the initial value, because once we have that we can finish writing the equation. So here we know our rate of change for this first one was 3. Initial value is when x is 0. And so we can just work backwards. From 6 we're going to go back 3, so minus 3. That's going to give us 3. So we know our point here would be 1, 3. And then we want to jump back again by 3 and we would get 0, 0. And therefore our initial value is 0. So the equation for this one would be y equals 3x, since 3 is our rate of change, plus 0. And remember, 3 is the rate of change, or the slope. X is not part of rate of change and slope. So the slope is not 3x, it's just 3. For this one here, again, we can work backwards. Our rate of change is negative 6. So when we go back, we're actually going to go up by 6, right? So if I was looking for the 11th step here, I'd have to go up 6 from 45. And so I would end up at 51. And now you can see to get from 11 to 12, my rate of change is negative 6, so 51 minus 6 is indeed 45. So that checks out. But what we really want is we want to go all the way back to 0. Now I could go, okay, what's it for 10, what's for 9, what's for 8, and add 6 each time, but that's going to take me a while. So a faster way to do it is to say, okay, I'm going to be adding 6 every step from 11 all the way to 0. Well, that's 11 steps. If I add 6 11 times, 51, and I'm going to write it a little different. Instead of adding, I'm going to put minus, because I'm going to use the minus 6 rate of change, and I'm doing that 11 times. So 11 times minus 6 is how much I'm going to take away, and you can see, of course, that that ends up like this, which becomes the adding. So we're adding 66, or adding 6 11 times, and I don't want to run out of your space there. We put those two together, we get 117. And so then we know that our initial value for this relation is 117. You can write that in. And our equation for this one, and I'll put it up above here, maybe I'll write them both in. For this one, it's going to be y equals negative 6x plus 117. And then for this last one, we can do the same thing. We can say, okay, for 72, the y value is 143. So 143, take away our rate of change, times the number of steps we have to go back. So we have to go back 72 steps to get to 0. Each step was a change of 3. So we're going to subtract 3 off 72 times. And if we deal with it that way, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 70 is 210. 143 minus 216. Oh, that's a nice one to try and do in your head. So 73? Yeah, 73. And of course it's negative because we're subtracting a larger number than what we started with. So we have negative 73 as our initial value here. And then we can write our equation, y equals 3x minus 73. So feel free to drop some comments or send me an email if you have questions about that. This is a skill we're going to use over and over through the course in a lot of different ways. You'll also use it in a lot of science courses and business courses and other math courses, of course, later on. So make sure that you've got a good understanding of it and let me know what I can answer for you or help you out with.